guys, welcome back or welcome to my channel. My name is Laura, and today I'm going to tell you in my most basic way how to keep plants alive. When I tell people like in my day-to-day life that I have so many plants and I'm not like, hey guys, I have a million plants, are you jealous? But you know, it's like my favorite hobby, so I will talk about it. When I do tell them like, oh yeah, I have like 100 plants or I have like 110 plants, if they're not also plant people, they will say, oh my gosh, I always kill plants. Like, oh, I can't keep a succulent alive, or I got a plant on this occasion and it died and I never tried again. So I figured I would just kind of give my most basic tips on how to keep plants alive. I'm not an expert at all. I've been winging it since the beginning. My mom brought me 4 plants on Valentine's Day 2019 and it completely blossomed from there, and I became a plant addict. My mom is also a plant addict. My sister's a plant addict because my mom gave her plants. It's a whole thing. Thank you, Mom. Okay, and so I'm just going to show you some of the plants that I'm talking about. I'm not going to go into like crazy depth. One of the plants that my mom actually gave me last year on Valentine's Day was this exact croton. I've been through a lot with this in the last year. You know, like I said, I've had plants now for just a little over a year, so I'm not an expert, and I'm getting dirt all over after I literally just vacuumed. But that's okay. So I have this croton here, and as you can see, it's doing pretty well and it's survived my treatment for the last year. I've had other crotons in the past and they've all died, and this one has lasted, which is so great. I think all of the original plants my mom gave me I still have. So for care for this one, it will droop when it needs water, just kind of like a peace lily. Maybe don't let it go that as bad as you might let a peace lily go, because you know, they really wilt. I didn't even bring a peace lily to show, but I think everyone knows that a peace lily will droop when it needs water. And same for this thing. This is a croton that I believe would be very vibrant with oranges and yellows and reds, but I actually really like the just green look. I like that it's like a lime green line, so I give it less light. But if you give it really bright light, it will have the oranges and the reds and stuff, but I give it lower light purposely because I like the green look. So that is a croton. I just water when it kind of looks a little sad. It will kind of look like that. All of the leaves will kind of deflate, and that's when I will give it water. Okay, so in my mind, and I don't know if this is how everyone thinks or if this is how everyone cares for their certain plants, but I view ZZ plants, succulents, and snake plants for their watering style the same way. I forget they exist until I water them, basically. Here is one of my snake plants that I got. I've had this one for probably a year, and I water this thing like when I remember to, which is about, and I water all my snake plants on the same day just because I treat them all the same way. But my snake plants, they get watered maybe once a month, and I've never ever had any issues with it. And these snake plants are pretty durable. I would say you could probably put it anywhere that has a window. You know, I wouldn't put it necessarily in a windowless bathroom, but I would for sure put it in a north window or even 10 feet away from a north window. I've done that in the past in my last apartment, and they maybe not grow as much, but they will live. They will stay alive. So this is one of my snake plants. I have probably like 6 or 7 of them, all thriving. I've never killed a snake plant. I water it like once a month, doesn't matter how little or big it is, and they've all done pretty well in various lighting. Okay, and so for my next plant I want to show you, this is a plant I recently got at Walmart. It is a satin pothos, and one of my favorite kinds of plants are plants that show you when they need water. And these ones, they will curl up. Their leaves will kind of curl in a way, and it will be wilty in its own way. I just water it when it looks wilty. I'm sorry I'm not talking about fertilizing in this video. I think that's a whole different thing. Personally, I believe you can get away with your plants staying alive and doing fairly well without fertilizing frequently. So I'm not going to even talk about that right now because I'm not a fertilizing queen. I just do that when I remember every couple months. My satin pothos, they like a little bit brighter light. I have mine about 5 feet away from my south window, and it loves it. So I can't wait for this one to get trailing. Marble Queen pothos, golden pothos. This is a Mandula pothos. I treat them all the same. You can take those general tips and rules and apply them to all of your plants that are similar. I'm not sure if this is making any sense. So anyway, this is a Mandula pothos I have in a non-draining pot. I've had this in here for probably 8 months now. It's finally starting to kind of fill out, and it is so impressive to me because it just didn't look like this 8 months ago. Currently, I have this sitting, oh, you can't see, but kind of like 5 feet away from this shelf. I have it there, which is diagonally probably like 15 feet away from a south window. And I water this thing when it is completely dried out. I have a moisture meter, and because this doesn't have drainage, it's very important for me to make sure it's completely dried out. And one of the good things about pothos, in my opinion, is, once again, I like to let my plants get to critical dryness, which is, you gotta water them. It's so obvious that they need water. That's what I consider critical dryness, is when it is so obvious that they need water. And I like that when they show signs of wilting, or, you know, this one, I just let it get completely dry by sticking my moisture meter all the way down to the bottom, and then I will water it. And I will just water it until it soaks through. If there's too much water in there, I'll kind of like hold it like that and pour it out, but I've never had any issues with it. So I love a good pothos because, you know, they will wilt. I love that. Something I consider pretty similar to a pothos is a more common philodendron, like a heartleaf philodendron or a Brazil. This is a plant my mom gave me, actually. I love it in her. She looks like a Greek goddess. I love it. Similar to a pothos, critical dryness, it will be a little sad looking. It will kind of fall down, you know. This one is right next to a south window, and she's loving it. I would say pothos and these kind of philodendrons, they are very resilient to lower lights. You know, I wouldn't necessarily, like I said, put it in a dark room, but they don't have to be in the brightest of lights. Any north window, it will thrive, you know. And yeah, like a pothos, I will let it get to critical dryness where basically it's bone dry, and then I water it. The one thing about plants is overwatering is #1 way to kill a plant, because they'd rather be dry than overly moist. Okay, so I said that I treat ZZ plants, snake plants, and succulents all the same way. I water my ZZ plants once every 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks. I have a massive one that's like in like a 5-gallon terracotta pot, so that one literally once every 2 months or so, and it's huge. It's honestly one of my favorite plants I own. But as I was saying, I treat all of my succulents and cacti the same way. I just forget about them. This is a little bouquet of a couple of jade plants in this Haworthia. I potted this up probably like 6 months ago or more. I'd say probably 6 to 7 months ago. And I water it when it looks wrinkly. And that's how I treat all my succulents and how I treat all my cactus. I water them when you can tell these look pretty plump to me. If you wait long enough, you will see that they're clearly wrinkly or like a little pruny, and then that's my signal to water it. Even cactus will look like that. Lithops, those will even get wrinkly. Yeah, so I treat all succulents and cactus the same way. Wait for it to get wrinkly. I think that's the best advice I've ever gotten. My next little plant, and I will admit I've recently figured this out with this plant. I had another one that was much bigger actually, but it just was never happy. I had it in a north window its entire life, and it just didn't look that great. And now I have it hanging directly in a, I guess it's a west window, but it's cornering a south window. It is just insane. Look at this growth. It's massive. I've just never had this string of hearts so happy before, and I'm so happy with myself for figuring it out. It just needed a lot of light. I think there is a common theme going with my plants. I love when they show signs of needing water. This one, and this one actually might need it shortly, but I'm gonna wait another day until it's like crying to me out loud and I hear it in the middle of the night. But when you fold, I always go to the top because those are the most mature, oldest growth. You go up here and you take a really mature leaf and you kind of fold it. It's called the taco test. Like, you know, if it's a little forgiving or if it's a little squishy or not super hard, then you know to give it water. And these ones are like just barely foldable, so I'm gonna wait probably tomorrow and I'll water this. It's really happy, and I'm really happy that it's happy. That was my #1 wish list plant when I first got into plants and was like learning what they all were. String of Hearts was my #1 wish list plant, and I got it like pretty much right away, and I had it for a very long time in a north window, and it was miserable, and it finally died. My next category, Hoyas, and they're not all the same. I will say they are very similar. This is a Hoya that I've had now for a long time, and Hoyas are my favorite category. I really like a heartleaf philodendron, and I really like a neon pothos, and my Raven ZZ, I freaking love it. Overall, Hoyas are my favorite. The way that I care for these is similar to the String of Hearts or kind of even a succulent. You kind of do this little test where you bend it, the little taco test, and if it feels flimsy, I will for sure water it. But right now this thing is pretty damn solid, and I just will let it get really flimsy before I water it. This is a Carnosa. This one I have currently, which is in the same spot as my Mandula pothos. So because these are more of a hardier Hoya, they will tolerate lower light. So I found that they will do just fine, you know, 10 feet away from a south window. This actually did totally fine in my north facing windows, completely fine, had no problems. It's definitely growing more now that it has more light, but it was completely fine. And I've had multiple Carnosas in my north windows for months and months. I give it enough light, but it doesn't need an insane amount of light. But there are some other Hoyas that do, which I will show you. One of my favorite plants I own is this Hoya Alba, and it's funny because it honestly doesn't look that impressive. I have this right in a south window, right there, and I've had this for months. And I had it in a west window at my last apartment, and then I put it into a south window at my mom's house, and now it's here in a south window, and I think it loves bright light. And like I said, not all Hoyas are the same, but ever since I have had it here, it's actually put out these 2 new leaves, and it's growing another one. Right there, there's another little growth. And the new growth is so soft, it's so cute. But I love this one because I thought it was gonna die and it proved itself. It really did. Like, look at this leaf. It's all jacked up. There's like texture all over it. There's like pieces missing of the leaf, but this new growth is just wonderful. And I've been watering this one more frequently than that other Hoya because it is so close to the window. I think it dries out faster. I will do the same kind of test. This is so firm right now, you guys. I just watered it and it's like, that one is not even moving a bit. I just love this plant. I love plants. You know, I'm not the most knowledgeable with my plants, and a lot of this has come from just winging it and trying to figure it out. I did a lot of research in the beginning. I watched so many YouTube videos, you know, like I feel like everyone does when they get into plants. They just do as much research as possible, but I found my biggest lessons were in doing things wrong. And I can say now, in the last 3 or 4 months, I don't think I've killed a single plant. I don't think, well, I dropped a cactus on the ground and it went everywhere, and so I threw it away, but I haven't killed any. And I think my biggest tip for you guys is to watch for signs of critical dryness. Plants can survive for a long time without being in the correct light, meaning live in lower lighting circumstances than they need. I could put a golden pothos in a closet and it will stay alive longer than if I watered it every day for a week, you know, like drenched it every day for a week. Much prefer the dark than soaking wet. I just kind of grabbed like an arrangement of easy plants or basic plants to a little bit more difficult. Like, critical dryness is where it's at, girl, boy, whatever, you know, just wait for it to show you it needs water. Let me try to think if there's any plants. Yeah, like calatheas, don't let them get dry. I'm like trying to think, like a calathea, stramanthe, ferns. I'm sorry, I cannot help you with ferns. I have one asparagus fern and I've had it for a very, very, very long time and it loves life. So I can't really give you tips on that because I don't know. I've been winging it the whole time. If you guys know how to keep a string of pearls alive, because I can't figure it out at all. I have a string of tears and we're gonna hope for the freaking best. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this and make this into like a concise video because I feel like I've just been like talking a lot. This is a 30-minute video already, so thank you for watching. If you agree with me and you think plants are fun and exciting and the greatest hobby you've ever freaking had in your life, hit me down in those comments. If you have more tips to give and you think maybe something I said was incorrect, let those people know too. I love reading your guys' comments. It's like literally my favorite part of uploading the video is getting the comments, even though I only get some from my mom and sister. But yeah, thank you for watching. I'm hoping to make more videos.